Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Alex King and Daniel Mangena. Today is Tuesday, June the 9th, 2020. It's 4 p.m. New York time. And wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And as I mentioned to listeners yesterday, and I'm letting Daniel and Alex know today, I'm really happy with my new microphone. I'm hoping everybody can understand my words a little bit more clearly now, because I know I can when I play it back. So I know it's better.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it. It's good. Now, the only downside today is my Mac decided, my Mac is where I pay attention to what's going on in the live stream. And it decided about 5 minutes before we got on to do a complete operating system update. So I can't see the live stream. Now, Alex is going to try to connect in. I don't know how that computer's coming along there, Alex, but Alex is going to try to
It's slow
monitor.
but coming.
It's slow but coming. Okay, so we won't be able to respond immediately to anyone who's listening on the live stream, but as soon as Alex has that computer up and running, we will be able to see what you are typing and sharing, because we want to be able to share what you're doing. So,
Well,
guys, how
I
you
think
doing?
I'm pretty much there.
And Daniel, you're going to connect in too? Okay, good. So we'll have two people monitoring. That'll be good.
Yeah, I've
right.
got it. I am live.
He is live. All right. There we go.
Just really weird.
So am I.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Okay, I'm going to come off because it's freaking me out. See myself from the past.
Yeah, that does freak me out. You gotta mute yourself and then just lower everything to the live stream.
No, but I can see the past. It's really weird.
It's very strange. Yeah, you get that 20, 30-second delay to kind of throw you off a little bit. But that's okay. We get used to it. And, you know...
Like a Matrix-led deja vu.
Okay. And this kind of ties in with what I had in mind for a topic. I didn't really have a real, definite topic in mind, but just kind of a general one. Because of all the craziness that's going on, I figured, why not talk about how to maintain high vibe in the midst of chaos and crisis?
Okay.
Because right now we've got a lot of that going on. Now, there are people who have regular amounts of chaos and crisis in their lives. So this is a topic that I think actually can go beyond what's going today. I mean, certainly anyone who's dealt with situations where they're living in or working in or dealing with stuff that they don't like on an ongoing basis can identify with the topic, I would think. But I just wanted to ask you guys what you guys do in order to stay in that high vibration. Because I know you guys are high vibe. I mean, you're experts at it. You're really good at it. Plus, Alex colors her hair to show that she's a high vibe. I mean, she has a visual to go along with it. But I'll go to you first, Alex. What's your favorite way to stay high vibe in the midst of craziness?
Changing something that I want to change.
Oh.
So like being in charge of something. So like rearranging a room, or just organizing in general, or changing my hair.
Which you do very nicely and often enough that it really, shakes things up every time.
Yep, it does.
I mean, you're doing this purple and blue to purple thing for a while now, and I've really gotten to like it. It's good.
Oh, thanks. I like it.
Really, seriously. I mean, it goes with the headphones, first of all.
Facts.
I mean, it matches your unicorn theme, but
it does.
It's colorful, really colorful.
Yeah, I like to branch out there before I'm too old to do it, which I don't think will be ever.
Well, actually, I think you're probably doing it at the right time, because that used to be a cliche when I was growing up. Women who were very elderly with blue hair because of the way the hair dyes work.
Yeah. There was no purple shampoo back then.
No. I mean, so your blue hair dye is blue by design. Theirs is blue by accident.
Yeah.
It's a blackcident. A bluecident.
A bluecident.
Bluecident.
Yeah,
bluecident.
With a little purple cident in there too.
Yeah. Perpcident.
So, okay. How about you, Daniel? What's your best way to stay high vibe when you're dealing with stuff going on that you don't like? Not that you get all that much when you live in paradise. I mean, it's tough to be upset when you're living on the beach.
When things go wrong, I recognize I'm just playing out a soul contract, and so I don't do anything about it. I recognize that there's nothing I should do, because everything is perfect regardless. And so I stay in my bubble of reality and allow all of that stuff to just be regardless. I don't set intentions. I just go with the flow.
Oh my God.
He's doing his Timothy Leary this morning. I mean,
I smell your facetiousness
Really?
all
You
the
do?
way across the country.
You do? That
I
wasn't
do.
my intention.
oh. Am I going to have to
I
get out the rim shot?
I see what
recording
you
here?
did there. I see
I
what
know.
you did.
It's what we do. No, honestly, first things first is just to catch it, and then look for the advantage in the situation. And if I can't directly find an advantage immediately in the moment, then I look for my well, at least blah blah blah. So if it's really bad, I look for how it could have been worse and say, well, at least it's not that, and that gives me a point of appreciation.
Mm.
I do that too. Walt told me not to.
I did?
Yeah, I said, I forget where I was. I was coming home from the hospital one day and I was complaining about everything that was wrong with me. And then I said at the end, but at least it's not cancer. And you were like,
I don't necessarily jump from things to cancer, but I look
well,
for
I'm
the
saying I
immediate
was already at the
advantage.
hospital and there was a long list of things wrong, but at least it wasn't cancer.
I just look for the step beyond. I don't do the cancer jump. I'm sorry. I don't. I'm with Walt here. I don't do the cancer jump.
Well, I
don't do
take
the
it
cancer
as
jump.
what's the worst thing that could have possibly came out of this situation? And at least
That's
it's not
really dark.
If you
I just look a step beyond. So like, I was late. Well, at least I wasn't an hour late and the traffic was clean. Or
okay, so yeah, you take like
like
mini pivots.
Ariana hurt herself.
Jumping.
Yeah, yeah, that's a cancer jump. Wow.
Hashtag cancer jump.
Wow. Yeah, I look for like whatever the pivot right beyond it is. So
yeah,
those are some examples. Or
Yeah, I like that strategy.
I was walking up the stairs once to my roof, and for some reason I didn't realize I had my pajamas on backwards, and it limited my legs, and then I fell over, and broke the glass, broke the plate.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And Olga was there.
I'm just having
Really
the visual.
embarrassing. Like, why were my pajamas on backwards? I had string. I had a tail. Why did I not notice that I had a tail? I don't understand what happened. But like, I went to walk and it just didn't work, and I just went boom, and landed on my face.
I can't breathe. Oh my God.
My pivot there was, well, A, I wasn't carrying Ariana.
Yep.
B, I wasn't injured deep. I mean, I hurt my leg, but I wasn't deeply injured. So like, that's what, is like, oh, fell over, but I don't have cancer. Like it wasn't the cancer stuff.
Oh my God. I can't.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think you found another way to deal with the craziness too, and that is to find a really, really funny way to tell the story, because humor is a wonderful way to break through.
Yeah, you have to be able to laugh about the situation later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I like to find a reason to laugh in the now. If I can find a reason to laugh in the now, which doesn't help if Olga and I are having a disagreement, and I find it funny.
It does not.
Yeah. No,
timing is everything.
Does not. Yeah, but. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so I think I will steer away from that one just to be safe.
What about you, Will? What's your thing to do?
Oh, I mean, I've given this answer so many times lately that it feels redundant, but I do a podcast. Seriously, 5 days a week. It's very, very difficult to stay in any kind of a funk when you do a 5-day-a-week podcast on your daily dose of happy. It's almost impossible. So that's my go-to. But Saturdays and Sundays, I don't always have that option. So then I have to be a little more creative. But this time of year, it's not hard to be creative. I mean, it's gorgeous out there. The weather's been absolutely idyllic. I mean, Louise and I got out for a bike ride over the weekend. Now, it wasn't, I can't honestly say it was completely idyllic because she had a couple spills and injured her knee.
Ooh.
That wasn't so good. But the really good news.
Don't say it, Alex.
She was so. What's that?
What was I not
Said,
supposed to
don't
say?
say Alex.
Wait, I
Okay.
missed it. You know what? There's too many dad jokes. He's got to get canceled. I can't.
Sorry, well, it was meant to be a full stop on the flow.
Yeah, no.
You were
Well,
saying,
Like, she may have fallen, but at least it's not cancer.
this is true. And at least she was able to get up and say, you know, let's go on with the ride. I mean, she could easily have given up at that point. And she said,
Yeah.
no,
There's the
no,
pivot.
I'm up for riding. I mean, her knee was screaming, but no, she was up for it. So, you know.
Yeah, that would have been me. I would have been like, nah, I'm out. I'm turning back. I'll see you later.
But we did turn back. I mean, 'cause,
I
you know, we were
Yep.
like, 8 miles out, so you kind of have to come back. But
Oh, well, yeah.
but you know, we got back okay, you know, despite a couple of little spills there. But hey, we learned two things out of it. The first thing is she's not as young as she was, so it's probably not a good idea to try to reach for the water bottle while she's riding the bike and drink from the water bottle. She should probably stop.
Multitasking is not her thing on a bike.
Yeah, and you know how, especially when you're a kid, you get on a bike by putting your left foot on the pedal and kind of riding side saddle, and then either throwing your leg over or through
Yeah.
either way. She found that's probably not a good idea for her to do either.
Okay.
Yeah. So you learn things, you know.
Yeah, you live and you learn.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing to do when you're a kid, and when you're a little bit older, you take some precautions.
Yeah.
So just to be safe.
Well, you have me nervous now because me and Kenny are going to get into rollerblading.
Wear a helmet, wear guards, and you'll be fine.
You know, rollerblading as a kid, I did not wear those things. So yeah, I didn't even think to get those.
Maybe you want to think about that.
Maybe I have to go back online. That's what I have to do.
Yeah. Because you certainly want to
yeah.
get out. I mean, first of all, I'm really glad and impressed that you want to go out and go rollerblading. I think that's fabulous.
I'm just going around the cul-de-sac and coming back.
Hey, I'll take that.
All right.
You know, for somebody who is a perpetual recluse, this is a major step forward. I like it.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. So that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, I don't have much more to go with that topic, and it's all I had. So we can just freeform it from here.
Well, I had a question posed to me today,
Oh,
and it was for you two to answer,
okay.
and then I will give my opinion. Now, let me see if I can phrase this correctly. I don't want to make it confusing. Okay. So if you're into law of attraction, you're basically saying that the universe brings things your way, whatever you're manifesting. So how do we feel about someone coming back into our lives, let's say about 10 years later, after you had let them go out of your life?
Are we acknowledging that we manifested, or are we resisting that idea?
Acknowledging.
We're acknowledging it. Okay. I guess my first question is, what's the payoff for manifesting that person back? Because there's always a background payoff. It may not be something that you want to announce to the world in general, but there's usually something that makes you want to manifest it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have manifested it.
What if you're manifesting based on the history, based on the good times?
Okay, so there was a payoff in the sense that you were kind of hoping to recreate those good times that happened. Okay, well, you know, that's a legitimate payoff.
Okay. Daniel?
We experience what we're vibrational matched to at the time.
Okay.
So we're either matching that person at an elevated frequency, or we've reverted back to the frequency that we were operating at 10 years before, because the same person can show up in a different way.
Okay.
I mean, it's really not any different. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I've got friends that I've known for 20 years. They're not the same person that they are today. Different experiences. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. So if we bump back into each other, we've got to look at the truth, which is that we're both operating at the same frequency, regardless of what that frequency is. We're operating at the same frequency, because that's what matters.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I was going to add that you know, when you're bringing somebody back, it's really no different from attracting or manifesting anything else into your life, whether it's
Mhm.
conscious or unconscious.
Mhm.
Mm.
Because let's assume for the sake of discussion that it was unconscious. You weren't really, I mean, you kind of did, but you weren't really aware of, yeah, that's what I was actually trying to do, is bring this person back.
Mhm.
Right? Well, you still have the same option as you do with anything else. It's an opportunity. You're basically in contrast at that point, right? I
Mm.
mean, you're
Mhm.
talking about somebody that you put behind you. Now they're back. So there was something there that made you want to put them behind you. And it didn't have to be bad. It was just something that you didn't really need or want anymore.
Mhm.
So once again, you're back in the contrast, and the contrast is saying to you, do you want this? Do you like
Mhm.
this? You can either answer
Mm.
yes or you can answer no. If you answer yes, then bring it on. You can
Mhm.
answer no, and if it's no, then okay, what do you want instead? It's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
not like
Mm.
bringing somebody back is locking you into anything.
Mhm.
It's just one more opportunity to decide: do I like this? Do I not like this?
And contrast is still a manifestation. The manner, the means, the nature, the taste and flavor of that contrast is still a matter of where we're at. We can only experience, even in contrast, what we're vibrational match to.
Right.
So it still comes down to you match them, and that's why you got it. Whether you match them because you fear it, you match them because you had a thought of missing them, and because you've had experience with them before, the belief system is open for you to be able to experience them, so that manifestation shows up really quickly. I had that once. I was walking through King's Cross, St Pancras Station. God, I can't remember how many years ago this was.
Mhm.
I was having lunch with my friend, and as I was leaving the station, my ex went up the escalator.
Oh.
We met. Yeah, it's one of the two or so that I don't actually talk to, or
Mhm.
have like any pleasantry for. But she saw me, I saw her, and she just sort of pretended she didn't see me, look the other way. But it was just momentary. At some point,
Mhm.
maybe there was something running. Maybe I was in an emotional experience at the moment, at that moment, that matched one that I'd shared with that particular person. Who knows? But regardless of what it was, in that complex density of vibrational of things that make up vibrational alignment, there was enough of one to have that experience. But like Walt said, so what? You don't have to keep it. Make that
Mhm.
choice from there and move on.
And that's the point. In fact, the way that manifestation happened, I mean, she was close enough that you could see her, but she was fairly far away. So it was a fairly remote connection. And it almost sounds
Mm.
like that whatever your vibration was leading up to that, it was more along the lines of, you know, a little dabbling of curiosity. There was no real desire to reconnect. So
Mm.
life gave you an example that matched that.
I had another similar situation. I was in New York, and a girl that I dated in London, who was English, we bumped into each other on a street in New York. This was like
Mm.
3, 4 years ago, 4 years ago. Just
Mhm.
walking along, and then I hear my name getting called out, and it just so happened she was the guy that she was dating was in Portland, Maine, and she'd literally just got off a bus from Portland, Maine, was walking through Manhattan,
Mm.
saw me from the distance, and then we ended up having a cup of hot chocolate.
Mm.
Completely random,
Yeah.
but we met
Kudos on the hot
for some
chocolate
reason
and
that
not
happened.
coffee. It's so cliche.
What can I say? I don't drink coffee.
Neither do I. Good for you.
Thank
Three
you.
of us. And I like hot chocolate.
What are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on it, Alex?
Yeah.
I'm a little too close to the situation to say what my thoughts are.
We'll make it more generalized.
More generalized, your exes are your exes for a reason.
So when you draw a line, you draw a line.
In the sand.
Sands can move. Is that the idea?
Sands can't move. Nope. It was struck by lightning. It is now glass. It is a
Ah,
glass line.
so that's a pretty firm line then.
Wow.
It is firm. Yeah.
Wow.
Like there's a reason you let them go. If you wanted to keep them in your life, whatever the vibrational match was that they were there for, okay, great, reason, season. Do I think they need to come back? Maybe you need another hit with a 2x4, so that's what they're there for. I don't know, but it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation because it very well could be like you guys grew apart and then you needed to hit certain milestones in your lives and then come back together. It could be that, or it could be, hey, you're not at your vibrational high right now, and here's a little lesson in season Y.
I'm
Well,
smelling some context here, Alex. I'm smelling some context that this person's looking for justification
Yeah.
to get back with this person.
Yep, definitely.
Well, there's evidence for every theory. Then they desired it. They desired it, and that's a manifestation of their desire.
Yeah,
This,
that's
I think,
true.
goes back to my facetious comments at the beginning of the show that, oh, you know, everything is perfect, and this is the universe's gift. Is it really, bro? Is it really?
Is it really?
Is it really, bro? But
Yeah.
yeah, they're in that camp that we spoke about last week. That I don't really, you know, we're in different camps, so to speak. So if that person desires that person back in their life, then that desire has been made manifest, and they've got what they've successfully manifested. They've used the law of attraction, but the law of attraction doesn't speak to the quality of what we're attracting. And it doesn't speak to what which we're attracting has in store for us going forward, because we can attract something that's not for our highest and greatest good. If we haven't set that intention and holding the frequency of our highest and greatest good. If I have a self-sabotaging, self-destructive frequency, then my manifestation is for my highest and greatest good. And I can claim something as being for my highest and greatest good, like a destructive relationship or a disappointing relationship. I've manifested it, but that doesn't mean that it's good for me. But then everything is good for us at a cosmic level because we have the opportunity to experience manifesting and going back to something that's not good for us. So I just spoke with my friend David. He's a channel actor. I'm going to introduce you to him on the show. And he was just talking about his concept now of zooming out and zooming back in. The whole highest and greatest good, everything's for my good. You zoomed out and seen it from a higher level, but we have to come in and experience it. The spiritual bypass, he said, really is when you zoom out and don't zoom back in again. But we're still having the human experience. It does have the contrast. It does have the choices to be made. It does have the intentions to be set in order to navigate life. Versus, I'm zooming out, and this is for me. Yeah, at a level. But in terms of your three-dimensional experience, bro, stop.
The zooming in, zooming out thing is a wild thing to kind of imagine for a while.
Yeah, it is.
I'll give you kind of a dark side. If you see a film of a traffic accident from 10,000 feet up, it looks like two cars just kind of bumped into each other. But if you're in the traffic accident, it's a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
The perspective is quite different. And similarly, on the more positive, happier side, if you see two people meeting who are falling in love from a distance, there's just two people there. You don't really see much. But if you see up close, you see, how their body language is or what they're saying to each other or whatever, it's an entirely different experience. So that perspective is an interesting one, because I think what happens is, now your buddy it sounds like he's thinking kind of in a spiritual sense that might be taking on overtones that I'm not thinking of here. But just from the perspective of purely seeing an event of some kind from a great distance away, there's a lot of detail kind of missing that we don't really see from that far away, that you can really only experience when you're in it, when you're part of it. I'm kind of curious to see what your friend would have to say about that.
Same. I wouldn't know, but I assume. Oh, hold on. Josephine is talking.
Oh, okay.
On this.
Get the comments from Josephine. But by all means, Daniel, do bring him on. I mean, the guy sounds interesting.
Yeah, that zoom out, zoom in thing sounds cool.
Great. He's really cool. He's got a really, really great book as well that speaks about his experience coming into being a conscious channel. He's really cool. He does some really cool stuff. I was about to say, you maybe see me share some of this stuff on Instagram, but I don't think either of you are really particularly active. But he's really, really cool. David Strickle channels something called The Stream. It's like for me, it's a great midpoint between the Abraham stuff and the more hands-on channel content. It's like really there in the middle. I think you'll really like it, actually.
Sounds cool. Sounds like fun.
Very much.
Yeah, I'll
Josephine said, yes, make a note. Florence Shovel Shin has a great story of a client manifesting a specific person in her book, The Game of Life and How to Play It.
Florence Scovel Shin, she's
That
fabulous.
is crazy good book.
Is it? I've
Kudos
heard.
to you. It's good. It's really, really good. Your word is your wand. I use a lot of her affirmations and intentions, even till now. In fact, even in my my abundance visualization, I use some of the Florence stuff in there.
Okay.
It's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, Florence Scovel Shin is one of Cindy's favorite people too. She just absolutely loves her work. I think she puts her in like the top 3 of all of the teachers
Wow.
she admires the most. Yeah, yeah. And we actually talked about some of her stuff. I think we actually did a partial review of that particular book, and really interesting stuff, especially considering how far back she was writing, because she was writing back in the early 20th century. I mean, quite a ways back. So yeah, it was interesting because of the perspective from that time, and it was also interesting because you don't get a lot of female writers writing about this topic, particularly in that era. So that was
No.
really,
Mhm.
yeah, that was really
She's
cool.
very ballsy, very hands-on. She talks about doing. She talks about the power of word. I love that stuff. Real solar flex, throat chakra magic. I like it.
Mm.
It's a good quote, Josie. Really good. So did we answer the question to your
I think
friend's
sufficiently.
satisfaction?
I think so. Oh, hold on. Josephine said something else.
Uh-oh.
A woman came to me in deep distress. The man she loved had left her for another woman. He said he never intended to marry her. She was torn with jealousy and resentment and said she hoped he would. Oh, she's quoting the book. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do think you guys answered the question in its entirety.
Hopefully to the satisfaction of your friend. Hopefully
Hopefully, we will see.
Yeah.
They will watch this playback and
Can I ask a question?
of course.
So what if they don't want to change? When they're happy with that manifestation to start to create reasons why their viewpoint is correct? What do you do then?
I will be here when the chips fall where they may.
It's a text message.
You could be a true friend then.
I try.
No matter what the situation is, you just accept it and help us whatever way you can.
Yes, exactly.
That feels good.
That's kind of what we were talking about during yesterday's show, actually. The topic was compassion, and that's compassion.
I have compassion.
There are actually 2 definitions. I don't know. I didn't know that. Did you guys know there are like 2 different definitions? There's a Western definition and an Eastern definition.
I did not. Do tell.
But I want to know what they both are now, though.
Well, the Western definition, if you look at the etymology, the origins of the word compassion, it derives from, I think it's ecclesiastical Latin, and stands for being with suffering or with the sufferer. So it's suffering with somebody else.
Okay.
But the Eastern version, and this is partly because of differences in language between the West and East. So people who were translating early on originally decided to call it compassion, but later on found out that compassion, the way Westerners mean it, is different from what these Buddhist monks were trying to convey. So that it's since been turned into loving kindness. So their idea of what we are labeling compassion is loving kindness rather than suffering with somebody. And it's a pretty big distinction.
I like the loving kindness better.
Yeah. Well, it's a much higher vibe.
Yeah.
You know? So it's going to be a very different experience.
Yeah, I don't know about this with the sufferer in business.
But that's what the Western version is, and that's why it can be confusing. I mean, because people can use the word in different ways that are dramatically different.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, Ioana was telling us about it yesterday. She also was pointing out that when you're working with the Eastern version, the loving kindness, compassion idea interweaves with wisdom. So as you experience and express compassion for somebody, both you and the somebody you're trying to assist learn from experiences that creates wisdom, which leads to more opportunities for compassion and becomes an endless cycle kind of a thing. So interesting stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, look at the new thing I learned today.
Well, we've been learning all kinds of good stuff. In the midst of all the craziness that's been going on, I like all the different things we have been learning, that we've been exploring, different ways to feel better, different ways to get into that better space and stay there. And I'm I'm hopeful that listeners do it as much as we do, that they actually get into doing this in their lives. I think they do. I mean, the feedback that we get suggests that. Um, but I like the idea of, I don't know, kind of being maverick, because in a time like this, there's a lot of, we'll label it negative stuff going around, and to find
Mhm.
a way to stay in a good feeling space in the midst of all that, that's pretty powerful. I mean, that indicates people who have really taken the time to learn how to shift their vibration in the midst of times when it's not comfortable, when the
Right.
vibration isn't feeling good, and when everybody else may be kind of falling apart around them, but not them.
Hmm.
That's true power. That's the best power you can have. So,
Another thing you could do, take a break from Facebook.
no kidding. No kidding.
They have that button option for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got so fed up with Facebook the other day. I was just like, there's like, it was one thing with the pandemic and then another thing with George Floyd, but the combination and I can't even. I was like, I'm done. I just threw my phone down and I'm like, I'm taking the day off, and it turned into a couple of days.
Yeah. It's healthy. It's healthy to
Yeah.
get away from it. I think it comes down to knowing your own state, your own vibration, where you are,
Hmm.
and asking yourself, can I maintain the vibration I need in order to deal with stuff? Because if I can't, that's a good time to turn it off.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Especially considering that's the only way I get my news. So I'm good.
cut off the news source. We don't need that stuff.
Yep. Cut it all out. Except I did run across a really nice post. My hometown had a very peaceful protest where they were hugging the police and the police were kneeling, and everything was great and people were crying. It was fantastic. So I did post that, but other than that, I've been off the internet.
That's great though. That provides a counterbalance.
Yeah.
There are good things happening.
Yeah, there are towns that are setting examples for how things should be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are upset about the kneeling.
We can't take a knee for anything without getting in trouble. What now? First, it was hate against the military, and now it's okay. So what's the problem with kneeling now?
I'm not going to kneel. I'm not going to kneel to someone. People shouldn't be kneeling. Blah blah blah. All that sort of stuff.
Oh, well.
Poppycock, really.
Yeah. If you want to kneel, you can kneel. If you don't want to kneel, that's the greatness of being in the U.S.
Yeah.
There are advantages. No doubt.
Yeah. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing.
Definitely a lot of poppycock.
Yeah. I hear that. Hashtag poppycock.
That also points to something else too. It's very easy in the midst of craziness to think that the craziness is everywhere, but usually craziness is actually fairly localized.
Yeah, it's usually just us.
Well, that's another kind of craziness. I mean, there's crazy and then there's crazy. Let's be perfectly blunt here.
Yeah.
So serious. Does anyone remember where that one's from?
Why so serious?
Why so serious?
Wait, I have the visual of the person saying it in my head. Was it a Joker? Okay.
Heath Ledger Joker.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them. I just had the visual of those words being spoken in my head.
You didn't see the Christian Bale Batman series?
No.
I thought that was one of the best Batman films series of all time.
Yeah, I'm more Marvel than DC, so I don't really follow the Batmans.
I'm more neither. But that was a very well done shit. The Nolan brothers did it, and they make a good movie.
Okay.
That's fair enough.
You're not going to watch it, are you, Alex?
No. At least I don't lie to you.
Thank you. But on this topic, which is actually relevant to our topicing of late, so I've been watching series 3 of Westworld as my downtime, and there's been this whole underlying narrative about what's real about reality and consciousness, and the meaning of things being real and being lied to about the reality that you're witnessing and creating a reality, which I found to be a very interesting narrative.
Hmm.
Interesting how?
Because it's basically the artificial intelligence, some of the artificial intelligence, I don't want to ruin it for people that haven't watched anything, but I'm going to have to ruin it. Sorry, guys. It's
Yep.
time for spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, so I should probably put this in your group, Alex.
Yep, you should.
So some of the artificial intelligence escapes the park and makes it out into the real world.
Wow.
Oh,
and-
okay.
Yeah, so they make it out into the real world, and there's like this whole thing about doing a revolution and people being free from the machine of reality, deciding what your future is and not having freedom to choose your own fate, and running against a script. Because there was at one point in the first or second season where one of the AI robots thinks that they're breaking free from the system, they're doing things their own way, but actually it'd been programmed into them that was part of their
Damn,
story.
you can't even win when you think you're winning.
Yeah, it was like everything, even all of her responses was all programmed in. So like the guy was reading back to her what she's going to say at the time she was going to say it or whatever. It was
Ouch.
really, really powerful. So then basically there was a part in this one when she thought that she'd been brought back to life. This will make sense for anyone who's watched it. But actually she was in a simulation. She wasn't even in her body. Her brain thing was in a simulation that was being used to try and hack information from her brain and using people that had died. But the people that had died, they copied their consciousness into AI. So they thought they were alive, but actually they were just a simulation within a simulation.
Wow.
It was bonkers. Really bonkers. And it's just like, what is real and what's not? Like,
That's
what's
bananas.
conscious and what's not consciousness? But it's raised some interesting questions. But neither of you have seen it, so there's not questions that we can discuss.
Well,
I have seen a tidbit of Westworld.
Season 1 or 2?
Actually, season 3. Kenny's obsessed, so I had to like tune in.
Why did you have to go back? It makes no sense
I
without the
tried.
context
No,
of
no,
season 1
no.
and 2.
I know the whole history. Well, not the whole history, but you know, I know enough to suffer through season 3.
Suffer?
Not suffer
Wow.
so much as it's a bad show, but suffer as in I don't like it, but I'll deal with it for him.
I'm with you. Yeah, this is one of the shows I have to watch by myself when Olga's gone to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So just not going for it.
Yeah.
And it's also not age appropriate for Ariana. So
Not at all. Not at all. Mm-mm.
no.
plus those concepts are
Yeah.
so twisted around. I mean, you can't hardly take a step without tripping over them.
Yeah, it's
Walt-
one of those.
Well, there's one character, Walt. He spends the entire first season thinking that he's a human, but he's actually an AI that doesn't even know he's an AI. And the way that they cross over the timeline narratives from the past, because he was real, and basically this guy copied the real guy and made an AI version of him, and he thought he was a completely new person, but he had all of the characters, all of the back narrative of the original person that he was a copy of. It's
Bananas.
But I have a really
Bananas.
kind of a fundamental question, and maybe this requires more spoiling, but if the copies are that believable that they can't even tell themselves apart, how do you actually know that the ones who are supposedly copies are actually copies and the ones that are supposedly real are actually real? I mean, what tells you?
That's the whole premise of the show. The
Yeah,
premise
that's-
of the show initially is that there's a park where the AIs are so real that you think that you think they're real people. So, but there were like things like, so there's the Westworld bit, there's like the India world, there's the samurai world. So you get to play out all your fantasies as if it's a real person, whatever dark
Right.
twist your fantasies
But
take.
I guess my point is
But-
like the guy who was the AI program, he thought he was real and he was
Mhm.
actually an AI program. How do you know he's actually an AI program?
You don't. That's the whole
Oh,
point
because-
of the show.
You don't until they get revealed, because whether you see that someone does the control thing on them to control them to shut down or do their system analysis, and they go, "Ooh," and they power down.
But even then, I mean, if the simulations are that real, I don't believe it even then.
They've got robot bits inside them. Well, they've got robot bits. They have robot functions.
I
You
have
can
one
open them
word.
up and there's robots.
If
I
they
have one
have-
word for you.
Okay, go ahead.
I have one word for you. You have to be a Star Trek person to know this. Holodeck.
All right.
In the holodeck,
Oh no, but this is
you can
three-dimensional
create
reality.
what appears to be reality within what appears to be reality. I mean, it's like an endless thing. So you could actually set it up
But
so
in this
that
one, they're
there is
having
a
a physical
being who
experience.
behaves like a robot, but it's actually still a being.
But then everything will be one whole simulation, which is what hologram theory is.
Precisely.
The theory about reality called hologram theory.
Oh, it's getting so
Which
nerdy in here. Oh my god.
That's why, I mean, I don't think you
We're
can
nerdy
actually
up
trust
in
your senses
here.
on any of it.
Yeah, we are.
We're nerdy up in here, so check off all your pros. We are getting so nerdy. We're gonna get our nerd on.
Oh my god.
You know, there had to be a song. There hadn't been a song yet today.
So
Of
I
course.
got to go back then to what my own beliefs are. My own belief is pretty straightforward. You're alive if you think you are.
Yeah, that's all that matters. The fact that someone has an on
Cogito
and off switch
ergo
on the
sum.
back of your neck, no big deal.
Yeah. Cogito ergo sum.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I think therefore I am.
That's it. Or actually, I turn it around. I am, therefore I think. But still, I mean, it amounts to a very similar thing.
Not in Westworld. The Westworld, you turn that around. It's the whole. You just unravel the whole thing.
Basically what happens.
Oh man.
It
But
definitely-
imagine waking up and realizing or finding out that you are not real.
See, that's the part I don't buy. I think that the moment you think you're real is the moment you're real.
But that's what the AI's thing is. They're saying that we are a people, we are a new wave of consciousness.
Then
We
they're
deserve the right to live. And then you've got the humans that are like, no, you're my property. So I'm going to do what I want with you. And
And my response is,
power
good luck
down.
with that.
yeah. And hence we have a show.
And those humans all of a sudden find out that the AI is actually behind them turning their switch off. I mean, you know, it's like this endless progression.
Like that, like the finals, like the showdown with the architect in Matrix 2, when he's like, yeah, you didn't have free will, bro. Like, you're not here to free humanity. You're here to choose which ones get to live and the rest are gonna die. So let's get on with it, okay? The one isn't the savior. You are the. I've put some source code in you to like just kill everyone. So let's get on with it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is it about human beings that makes them want to be so manipulative of others? Because that's basically what that theme is. I'm going to manipulate you. I am the game creator, and I'm going to create the game, and you are my slave. What is it about humans that want them?
I think it's just lack of care. They don't see them as human. It's like people that treat animals in a horrible way. They don't see them as being worthy of treatment. Even when you look at the divisiveness of racism as it exists in some spaces, it's because this person isn't worthy of the consideration that I give myself at this level. So the humans are like, well, you're robots. Like, I made you in the lab, therefore you're not really worthy of consideration. So just do what I tell you, or I melt you, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's power, the power struggle. It's like
Yep.
a lot of people don't feel powerful enough, so they have to have power over other people or what have you, animals, AI, whatever.
Mm. Yeah,
And I think that we can take that one more step too and recognize that it's also about the person who is doing that feeling powerless.
Yeah,
It's their way
definitely.
of trying to express power
Mm-hmm.
because they don't really understand their own personal power, so they create one.
Yeah. It has to be visually seen and external. Internal powers doesn't mean anything because no one can see it.
That's an interesting point, isn't it?
Mm.
That's one of the hardest things for people first exposed to law of attraction theory.
Yeah.
They can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's pretty hard to measure it. You can measure electricity. You can measure various kinds of electromagnetic frequencies and so forth. Measuring law of attraction source energy is a little bit more tricky at this point in time. Now, I actually think we're probably pretty close to being able to do it. In fact, there's even a 50-50 chance that science has already done it and doesn't know what they've measured. But until that happens, it's so nebulous in most people's minds because they can't measure it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they don't want to measure it.
Well, that's the other question. Yeah. Do they really want to?
Yeah, because I was going to say you can't. Well, you can see electricity if you do things to it, but if you can't really see electricity, you can't see wind. But we all know these things exist.
Hmm. But
You
there
can
was a
see
time
what
when-
these things do to other things.
Yep.
Just like you can see how things you manifest are manifested.
Mhm.
So you can measure it.
Oh, I think it can ultimately be measured. It's just right now they don't know how to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything secret in the universe in terms of measurability. It's just having the tools to measure it. They
Right.
didn't have the tools to measure chakras and energy before, but now they do. So now it's not some wiggly-biggly concept. It's a truth because we can measure it, we can experience it three-dimensionally, or at least witness it three-dimensionally.
Ironically, that's something that you can come to the conclusion of once you have already kind of taken on faith how law of attraction works, because now you feel confident enough that you can actually explore and start believing and understanding how all that kind of thing is working. Whereas that person, that hypothetical person we were talking about, who has to create these little power scenes where they are the game and they're the game creator, they don't have that insight yet. They haven't gotten to the point where they have enough self-confidence to even conclude that they can measure anything and they can identify everything and they can find it all, even if they don't know how to do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's hologram theory in action, because actually it's the belief in it that allows it to be real. Like nothing becomes real for us three-dimensionally until we accept it as being possible to be real.
True.
So that person's lack of faith in law of attraction means law of attraction is not real to them because they cut themselves off from access to it.
Sure. Oh yeah. And they're very good at it.
Mm.
I'm very skilled in my detachment from the law of attraction. Very skilled indeed.
Yep. And they do take pride in it. Let's be perfectly blunt. They are very,
Yep.
very proud of having done that. Yeah. It's interesting though how it's a commentary on themselves, and I'm not sure they're even aware of that.
Mm.
You know. So anyway, it also occurs to me. I mean, we're almost psychoanalyzing hypothetical people here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and in that psychoanalysis, we're also demonstrating how we are able to see this stuff because of the perspective we've achieved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, each one of us and the vast majority of our listeners, quite probably all of them, have gotten to the point in life where each of us can now kind of take a step back and not have that charge attached to the thing. And so now we can see it for what it is. We can feel it for what it is, and we aren't caught up in traumas and chaos and craziness about it anymore. It's just, oh yeah, I can see what that is. That's not a big deal anymore. And that's cool. I say that to laud everybody who's listening and to laud us. Like, look at what we've accomplished. We've actually gotten to the point where this is what enlightenment feels like. This is what it feels like to be enlightened.
Mm-hmm.
And the light's only getting brighter.
Yep.
It's pretty cool stuff. I like it.
I like it a lot.
So last few
okay, I
minutes,
know.
let's see if we can solve one more problem for the world. We'll go back to the original topic, which was
All right.
The idea of dealing with craziness and crisis and doing it from a high vibe state. Now, we originally phrased it as, what do you do if you're not there? But what also do you do to stay there? I mean, it's not hard to stay there. I mean, when you've got a good high vibe going and it's been going for some time, it's pretty easy. But nevertheless, you have to kind of maintain mindfulness. Anything you guys do to stay high vibe?
Not that I do on purpose.
Changing location, changing the physiology or location. So Joseph McClendon III says, shake your butt. It's very difficult to be in a low vibe and shaking your butt at the same time. So
Very true.
And that's the resistance that you're going to have to shake. You shake your butt's going to be really low for the most part. Just shake it. Shake it, shake it. I don't like the vibe, so I'm going to break it. Shake it, shake it.
That's good. Yeah.
Or like this, sometimes if I'm feeling funky in a space, I'll just change location. I'll go outside, put my feet on the grass. I used to do it at the beach when I used to live in the hotel. I'd just go for a walk across the road and go to the beach, get my feet in the sand, get those negative ions going and shift out.
It's
Go for a
amazing
walk.
when you get that earth contact, that contact with the sand
The
like
grounding. Yeah.
that grounding is just, it's incredible how quick and powerful that is.
It's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's calming. Boy, the perspective comes right back. Oh, something else I wanted to ask you guys about too. When I was first learning this stuff, one of the harder concepts for me to grasp at that point was the idea that I actually had control over my emotions. I was one of many who thought that my emotions were completely subject to what happened to me, what
Mm,
other people said and did, what events occurred, and my emotions were just how my body and my soul responded, almost like a slave. I didn't have any control over it.
hmm.
And then when I finally learned that I really could control it, first of all, it was startling.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, what have I been missing all this time?
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm.
The second thing that occurred was a realization that because I hadn't developed the skill very much, I wasn't really good at it. And so moving my emotional set point at all without resorting to some sort of external influence was a major big deal.
Mm.
But over time, the more that I practiced it, the better and better I got at it. So that now I got to the point where if I don't like what my vibe is, I just push it up. I don't even have to focus on any particular thing anymore. I just push it up.
Hmm.
Like, oh yeah, reach for the higher feeling stuff. And I don't even get to the feeling stuff. I just think higher feeling and I'm there.
Yeah.
So I guess the question I wanted to ask you guys was, did you have any kind of experience similar to that? Or have you had it all along where you could just connect and it was just like, you never really thought about it perhaps, but you could always just put yourself in whatever mood you wanted to be in?
No, I definitely had a hard time in the beginning. I think we're programmed to believe that our everything external everything is what's happening to us, not what we're doing. That's
Okay.
that's the deprogramming is part of the law of attraction process. So yeah, I had a hard time with that. I also had a hard time with realizing that you don't have to keep certain people in your life if they're not on your vibrational wave.
That's something you've definitely changed
Yeah,
in a
definitely.
big way. You made a point of that earlier.
I will cut people off with a quickness. You could be blood related. It doesn't matter. You gotta go. If you're like impending on my mental health, I can't risk it. You gotta go.
When you're done, you're done.
Oh, I'm so done. Yeah. I mean, I do leave room for error. So if you want to get on my level and then come back, we can have a discussion. I leave everything open so we can talk about it.
Oh.
But again, if I have that conversation and it doesn't match, we gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's nice that you're in my life. You can remain Facebook friends, but that's
But
about
what
it.
was the journey like? Because like you said, you also went through the same thing where you didn't really feel like you had control and then you gained control. Did you have that kind of experience like I described? Was it different?
Mine was more internal because I was struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts, and at one point thought I was hearing voices, but it turned out it just like I started realizing like I'm in control of this. I can it's not the things that are happening to me that's making me depressed. It's what's going on. It's how I'm handling it that's making me depressed.
Okay.
So once you realize that and then start to build on that, realizing you can change certain things, you can rearrange your room in your mind. You know what I'm saying? You can do these things to get yourself to a better place and a higher vibration. Not that medication didn't help. I didn't do this all by myself, but but there are things you can do. And like I said, it starts off with getting rid of those old records of things are happening to me. I'm not in control. This is not my life.
So do you feel like you've gotten to the point now where you can pretty much on demand shift to whatever vibration you want to go to?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How long do you
And
think that took you?
So I was introduced to law of attraction at the age of 22, just getting a handle on it. When did I meet you?
It's,
2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from the age of 22 to about 33, I was like aware of it, but not aware of how I was not dealing with it, but how I was using it.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, it's a learning curve. And then you have someone come into your life and make you realize you had this power all along.
Mm.
You
What about you, Dan?
have the power.
What about you?
I mean,
What's your experience with this?
I've been at this stuff a long time. I've been at this stuff for 20 years. So certain things were made clear to me very early on. One is that emotions are energy and motion, and the energy responds to what we're feeling. So there's a difference between feeling and emotion. So the feeling is the first point of contact with our vibe. And then we have a choice at that point. There's a break in experience to allow ourselves to invest in that feeling for it, the energy to move and become an emotion or not. So I can feel angry. There's nothing wrong with feeling angry. If I take on the emotion of anger, it's very different, because then the limits of my thoughts and my actions become limited to that energetic frequency that I've latched onto. So I think I was blessed to have that lesson very, very early on in life. And then I've had the opportunity to spend most of my adult life understanding that if I feel something, there's nothing wrong with that, feel it, but I don't have to act on it or invest in it. I can notice it. Oh, look at that feeling. And one of Dr. Joe's statements, and Eckhart Tolle says the same thing, but I love Dr. Joe's wording, is that think about what you're thinking about, and you automatically become the watcher, and you can observe the feeling and not allow it to translate into an emotion and then an experience.
So I gather
That's
from
it.
that you pretty much learned at an early age. Maybe you never really lost touch at all. You learned that you had that control over your emotions at any point, and you could decide what your reaction was going to be in any situation.
Because and this is thing my friend said a couple of years ago that I love. It's control is what you do after the fact. I don't control, I create.
Okay.
So if I'm controlling it, I'm trying to get a handle on something that's already done, and that's impossible, because once it's in motion, it's in motion.
True.
But what I can do is I can shift the future frames, but that's not by controlling, it's by creating. So pausing, thinking about what I'm thinking about. Do I choose this? No. Okay, but I can witness the feeling. Anger has a purpose. Hate has a purpose. These things have purpose, but they don't have to be anchored into my experience in an unconscious way. I can consciously allow them to be witnessed, think about what I'm thinking about, select which of it I want to carry going forward, and which of it I want to let go of.
In essence, what you were talking about there is how you're going to respond to what happens, but you're doing it from the perspective of where you are right now rather than where you were.
Yeah, that's one of the principal baselines of Beyond Intention as well. Accept everything that's been created up to this moment, regardless of what it looks like, but then also accept that unless I take responsibility in this moment creatively, then what goes forward is going to be not so bueno, it's going to be the same. So then in that space of now step 2 Beyond Intention, from a clean space, I choose, what do I want to experience instead? Step 3, gratitude, connecting to that experience. And step 4, listening. Am I where I want to be? Thinking and feeling with awareness. Am I where I want to be? No. Okay, let's get back to the beginning and change that. Do I want to just let this ride? Even asking ourselves the question, am I prepared to do the work that's necessary in order for me to pivot out of this right now? No. Maybe I actually want to feel miserable for a bit. Okay, give myself a clock. I'll give myself this morning. I'm going to feel like poop this morning. But then this afternoon, I'm going to open the window and go out and get some sun.
Yep.
So.
Very cool. Okay. It's interesting how we have different paths that come to the same place, but those different paths really inform us differently. They give us different superpowers, so to speak. Daniel, you were describing a superpower, essentially. Your ability to...
And it's a superpower we all have access to.
Well, sure, yeah.
But we're not all ready to do the work that's required in order to access that, nor do we really want to. Some people will be really better off just owning the fact that they want to be unhappy, they want to be miserable. Okay, own it. But there's 8 billion people, there are other people that want to be miserable too. Go and be with your people. Don't spread that infection to those that do want to be happy. And that's my thing, you know. And one of the things my mentor, David Nagel, was like, you know, I had a coaching call with him a couple of weeks ago. It's the reason why I couldn't be on a Thursday. And he's like, you're responsible to people, not for people. So if someone wants to be miserable, it's not my job to change them. It's my job to be available to support those that want to change, but it's not my job to change them. And that frees up so much more energy for me to just enjoy my own experience, to shift my own frequency and to have my own levels of appreciation, and just appreciate people where they're at. Some people are doing it because they think they've got some kind of contract or agreement that dictates that's where they're supposed to be. And some people are like, do you know what? This is just what I want to be right now. And whatever configuration of things makes it up is okay. And it's not my problem.
That's a really great perspective. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Good way to wind things up here today. Just a reminder, make sure you're subscribed because the announcement is now literally days away that we're going to have the app available. Yeah. I don't know if I told you guys, but I broke through. I figured out that thing.
I knew you would.
I finally did over the weekend.
Celebration.
Yeah.
Celebration.
Although, like I said yesterday, I have to admit, my first reaction wasn't celebration. My first reaction was shock.
Shock it all.
Just disbelief that I actually had fixed it. I had to like try it 25 times to make sure it actually worked.
You're like, no way. No
exactly.
way.
That's the way it felt. I did get to the celebration part. You know, I didn't skip that. But yeah, that was really strange. So yeah, we're really close now. We're very close to the launch. So become a subscriber if you're not subscribed, so you can get those notifications here when that app is going to be available. It's going to be literally probably this week. It's going to be available.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So subscribe. Go to loatoday.net if you aren't sure how to subscribe. We got instructions there. And what's going to happen, especially if you're listening to this, you know, perhaps weeks in the future, is by the time you've gotten there, the app will be available for you to download when you go to that page.
No.
That's going to be pretty cool.
I look forward to downloading my version of the app. Also.
I look forward to getting your feedback too. You guys are my beta testers, so I'm looking.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, good stuff. So thank you guys for a good conversation. Really in depth. I liked it. Thank you, Josie, for your commentary as well. We appreciate that. Thank you to our podcast listeners. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.